Help me reach 7,000 subscribers. Please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback helps make the content better. She came in late enough that the streetlights had already clicked off. Keys hit the counter, heels off in the hallway, a whiff of some perfume she didn't wear at home. I was at the kitchen table paying bills, coffee gone cold. Long day, I asked without looking up. Don't start. She pulled her hair into a loose knot and opened the fridge. Mike had us on a deadline. I'm starving. Mike always does, I answered. What deadline needs perfume? She glanced over. It was a client dinner. Please don't turn this into a thing. Just a question. You're acting insecure. She grabbed a yogurt, popped the lid, and took 2 quick spoonfuls. Can I shower without an interrogation? Knock yourself out. I set my pen down. Tomorrow, we stick to our plan? My sister's birthday, 6 o'clock. She waved a hand. If work doesn't explode. I almost let it go. Almost. Your word matters. And my job pays. She fired back, moving toward the hallway. Be a grown-up about this. If I'd known where that tone was headed, I would have poured out the cold coffee and kept my mouth shut that night. Would have changed nothing, but I would have saved myself the taste. The next morning, she left early. I texted a smiley reminder about my sister's dinner. She hearted it and added, should be fine. At 5:30, running a bit behind. At 6:15, parking. At 7, she still wasn't there. I made my apologies and drove over alone with a store-bought cake. My sister hugged me at the door like she knew something I didn't. On the way home, I called my wife. Still at the office, she said. Laughter echoed on her end, a male voice under it. Don't wait up. Heard a guy, I noted. Conference room. Mike tells terrible jokes. Can I get back to it? Get back to it, I said, and ended the call. I wasn't jealous then. I was measuring. If someone keeps kicking your shin under the table, you don't declare war. You move your leg and you stop making room for their shoe. 2 days later, she breezed into our kitchen at 10 at night with a takeout bag and a grin like the day had been kind to her. I was setting out 2 plates on habit. She kissed the air near my cheek. Saved you something, she said. Mike ordered too much. I'm good, I replied. I ate hours ago because I didn't expect you. You're always so literal. She set the bag down. It's lo mein, your favorite. Last week, it was mine. This week, I like my own cooking. News to both of us, I know. She rolled her eyes. Wow, do you practice these lines in the mirror? I practice not being a doormat, I told her. Different sport. She sat, poked at noodles, then skewered me with a look. You know who doesn't make me feel guilty for working? Mike. He gets it. I'm sure he does. That pause, she said, pointing with her fork. That tone. That boundary. I corrected, tapping the table. If you're out late, shoot me the truth. If you're at dinner with your boss, say you're at dinner with your boss. If it's a pattern, call it a pattern. It's temporary, she said. And I don't need permission to be good at my career. Not asking for permission. Expecting respect. Same difference to you, I guess. Not to me, I replied. Her phone buzzed. She stood. I need a shower. Take 2, I said. The next morning, I moved our calendars off the shared wall. I split our joint account for day-to-day spending into 2 debit cards with a fixed transfer every Monday. I hung a small whiteboard by the door, week's commitments in black, mine in blue, hers in red if she wanted to add them. I didn't make a speech. I just adjusted the system I could control. She noticed that night, dropping her bag as I wiped the counter. What's with the board? She asked. Clarity. If you add late nights, put them up there by noon. If I'm making dinner, I'll make 1 portion. If I'm going to my gym, I won't wait on you. That's dramatic. It's adult. So you're punishing me with a marker? Think of it as a weather report. Dress for the storm you're bringing. She laughed. Short and sharp. God, you really hate that I have someone like Mike pushing me. I don't like that my wife treats me like a placeholder for when the office goes dark. She walked to the board, uncapped the red marker, and wrote, Thursday late. Friday late. Sat on call. Then she looked over her shoulder at me. Happy. Ecstatic, I said, and put the marker back in its tray. Friday night, I went to Ray's, a neighborhood bar where the bartender remembers your name if you tip, and the regulars nod if you leave them alone. Dave met me there, an old friend who works graveyard at the rail yard. Dave's the guy who listens first and talks when he has a point. She making jokes at your expense yet? He asked after I gave him the surface version. She started warming up, I said. Small stuff. Don't be insecure, be a grown-up. That tune. Next verse is, why are you monitoring me? Already on the set list. He sipped his club soda. My rule? When it feels like an audition you never agreed to, change the venue. I did. Split the budget. Set a board. Tonight, I'm not waiting around. I'm here. That's venue change. He nodded. You okay with where it leads? I'm okay with not being a doormat. He tipped his glass. Okay then. She called as I was driving home. You at Ray's? She asked, engine noise on her end. Was. Now you're just trying to make me feel bad. That's your read. My read is I'm living my life. Fine. Mike asked for slides Sunday morning. I'll be in the office late tomorrow. Put it on the board, I told her. Sunday I bought groceries for one, stocked the freezer with portions, and set coffee for 6 a.m., my work schedule back to an earlier start. She drifted in and out, a shadow with a tote bag, even tempered if I kept it practical. Monday morning, she came to the table with 2 travel mugs like we used to, slid one to me, and rested her chin on her palm. I've been sharp, she said. Sorry. The project is chaos. I took a sip. It was the roast I like. I appreciate the coffee. Let's do dinner Friday, she offered. Just us. I'll make it happen. Put it on the board by noon Wednesday. She smiled. Deal. That was the first soft pivot. It lasted 48 hours. Wednesday afternoon, she texted, Mike's pushing an announcement Friday. Big news. Might need to reschedule. Your call. I wrote back. Just be straight. Don't be like that, she responded. Like what? Passive-aggressive. Read it flat, I wrote. Your call. Be straight. No reply. That night she got home near 9 with 3 coworkers in tow. 2 women and a guy named Evan with sleeves rolled to his elbows and a grin that said he collected receipts on other people. I opened the door before they knocked. Quick stop, she said, breezing past me. We have to run numbers. It'll take 10 minutes. Kitchen table's clear, I said. Ground rules. I'm not a server, and this ends at 10. Evan looked me up and down like he was the bouncer and I was the line. You run a tight ship. I run my home, I answered. Help yourselves to water. We sat in the same room, them on laptops, me on my own screen. Evan tried a joke. So, man of the house, jealous of the hours? He tossed. Jealous of sloppy boundaries, I replied. Not ours. He smirked at my wife. He's got quips. She practices in the mirror, she said, rolling mine back at me, and they all laughed. I closed my laptop. We're done at 10, I reminded them, nodding at the clock. At 10 exactly, I stood and stacked their folders, handed them over, and opened the door. Thank you for stopping by, I said. Wow, Evan muttered, but he was already moving. My wife stayed back a second, eyebrows up. Did you really have to kick out my team? I didn't kick. I ended a meeting. In my kitchen. On my time. She grabbed her bag. I'll be late, she announced, like a challenge. Put it on the board, I said. She left without marking anything. Friday at noon she called. You're not going to believe this, she said. Breathless with excitement. I got it. They offered me senior account lead. More money, more clients. I can't even breathe. That's big. I told her, and meant it. Let's celebrate tonight. Where do you want to go? Silence. Then, I wish. I have to stay. We're rolling this out. It's going to be a late one. Congratulations, I said. I mean it. I know, she said. You sound weird. I sound like a husband who suggested a normal celebration and got bumped for fluorescent lights. You don't understand how big this is. I understand choices, I said. Enjoy the night shift. That was cheap, she snapped. It was true, I said, and ended the call gently. That was the last drop in the cup for me. The next morning I sat in my truck in the driveway, engine off, and called a private investigator named Alvarez, a contractor friend recommended during a messy separation last year. I don't need drama, I told him. I need clarity. No theatrics, no trash. Just facts. You want surveillance only? He asked. Places, times, who's there. If there's dinner, note dinner. If there's a ride home, note the address. If there's contact that looks like more than work, take a picture. You will not be in the middle of anything. You will never talk to her. Understood. Timeline. As long as it takes to be decisive, I said. He had a dry chuckle. That's usually shorter than people expect. I went about my week. I cooked for myself. I slept fine. At Ray's, Dave listened and shrugged. Track, decide, done, he said. Better than running in circles. Exactly. At home, she shifted tone again, a second soft turn. She brought me coffee, asked about my day, even came to my shop Saturday morning to hand me a sandwich while I replaced a neighbor's brake pads. You working out here now? She asked, looking around the garage. I am. It's hot, she said. You need a fan out here. I have one. I clicked it on. She perched on a stool. I want to do dinner tomorrow. Early. I'll book somewhere close. Put it on the board, I said. She walked over to the whiteboard mounted by the side door and wrote, Son, dinner, 6. Big, generous letters. I almost smiled. Sunday at 5, she texted. Still in the office. Mike pulled us in for prep. I'll call you. I stared at the message, let the disappointment land, then finished the breaks and washed my hands. She called at 9:30. You have no idea how intense this is, she said. Sure, I answered, wiping the counter. Congratulations again on the promotion. It's not official until Monday, she said softly. But yeah. Put it on the board, I said, and ended the call. I wasn't dramatic about it. I was done repeating myself into a void. Monday night, Alvarez texted to meet. We sat in his car across from a restaurant in the next town. He handed me a slim envelope. Collected over 3 nights, he said. Your wife, this guy Mike. Dinner. Drinks. Walks to the car holding hands. Parking garage elevator. Then they ride to his place, 2 blocks east. She leaves near midnight. In the photos, there she was, face I knew, with a softness she hadn't brought home in months. His arm around her. Her hand on his coat. They weren't sloppy, they were comfortable. That's enough, I told him, kept my voice level. I can keep going, he offered. Sometimes people want more. I don't. We shook hands. On the drive home, I didn't replay anything. I did what I do. I set a plan. The next morning, I moved my documents from the safe to my truck. I scanned what I needed at the print shop. I called a lawyer's office for a basic package to end a marriage. I told them I wanted no theater, I'd be fair, and I wanted it handled quietly. I set a new lock code on the garage door and changed the service on our joint streaming and utilities to separate billing with a clear ledger. No sanctions, no petty games. Clear lines. At dinner time, I stayed at work late, finished 2 estimates I'd been putting off, and picked up takeout on the way home. 1 portion, my name on the bag. The house was silent. I ate, cleaned up, and pulled 2 suitcases from the closet. I packed her clothes carefully, work attire in one, casual in the other. Shoes in a separate bag. Bathroom essentials in a clear tote. Laptop and chargers in a padded sleeve. No theatrics. Facts. While I folded, the house clicked with small sounds. The fridge cycling, the peep of a timer I didn't remember setting. I didn't rush. I set the suitcases on the porch under the light. I placed the envelope from the attorney on top, along with the photos from Alvarez in a folder labeled with her name and today's date. I locked the door. Then I sent a text. Working late again? I sat in the living room. An hour passed. Then another. Her reply finally lit the screen. Lost track of time. Be home soon. I sent back. Is Mike that good? 10 minutes later, I heard tires on the gravel and a car door slam. She rushed up the steps and stopped cold at the sight of the bags. The porch light washed the anger off her face, and for once there was something else there. Not guilt. Not exactly fear. Something closer to a calculation failing. She pounded on the door. Open up. I opened it halfway. Neighbors are asleep, I warned. What is this? She gestured at the luggage. You can't be serious. Open the folder, I said. Top page first. She yanked the folder open. The photos looked back at her in color and good light. The 2 of them at a table. His hand over hers. Her head on his shoulder in the elevator reflection. His door. The timestamps neat in the corner. She kept flipping, face shutting down like she was pulling blinds. You hired someone. I brought facts, I answered. Those are out of context, she tried. You're holding his hand in a garage after hours, I said flat. What's the context that helps you? We were celebrating. You were celebrating, I corrected. With intimacy you didn't bring home. That's not fair, she said, voice rising. Lower your voice, I told her, glancing down the street. Or the whole block will learn your promotion story with the director's cut. You can't throw me out, she hissed. I'm not throwing, I said, motioning to the bags. I'm handing back what you already took. This is the rest of your life you've been living somewhere else. Take it with you. She pressed a hand to the door. Let me in. We have to talk. We had months, I replied. I got sarcasm, distance, rescheduling, and two soft smiles when I adjusted. Then I got proof. Now you get honesty. Papers are on top. You're ending this based on a few pictures? She demanded. I'm ending this based on lost respect, I answered. Pictures just saved me from gaslighting myself for another year. You're being cruel. I'm being clear. She started to raise her voice again. I leaned my shoulder against the door. Any more questions? I asked. Or you want to keep waking the neighbors? Your call. Her mouth opened and closed. The bags were right there. The papers were right there. She wasn't used to me moving first. That's the thing about control. When the other person stops playing, your hands grab air. I closed the door, turned the lock, and walked back to the kitchen. She didn't knock again. The next morning, she sent a series of texts that read like a bad script. First angry, you ruined everything. Then bargaining, we can fix this. Then marketing, you know how hard I worked. I replied once, papers are on the table. The lawyer's info is inside. Be fair, and this stays clean. She came mid-morning while I was at work, carried out the suitcases, and left her house key in the bowl by the door. She didn't take the framed photos. I boxed those and put them with her mother's china. When she called that night, I let it go to voicemail. Then I listened. I'm sorry, she said. I got carried away. It wasn't like you think. I want to talk. I send a time for logistics. Text only. She asked for a meeting. I declined. She tried again with sweetness. I didn't swing at it. Distance isn't cruelty when the purpose is clarity. 2 days later, we met at a coffee shop near a highway exit, public and neutral. She arrived in a blazer that said capable and an expression that said strategy. I came with a thin folder and no appetite for a scene. You look tired, she opened. I look like a man who goes to bed at 10, I replied. What do you need? You cut me off, she said softly. Finances. Plans. We can at least be humane. I moved to clean lines, I said. You'll have what's fair. No one will starve. I'm not your enemy. I'm not your cushion either. You always liked being the steady one. I like being respected. She shifted. You know, Mike is my boss. That's a dynamic. It made some of those nights messy. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I believe you weren't thinking about me at all, I said. That's the point. So that's it. You just drop a hammer and walk away, she pushed. I set a boundary, I answered. You walked away first. I am simply catching up. She looked around the room and lowered her voice. Please don't make this public. I didn't. You did in every subtle way. You took me to the edge of it in my own kitchen with your team. I leaned back. We'll keep it clean. You sign, I sign, we split what's fair, and we go live our separate lives like adults. She tried one last pivot, a warm hand reaching for mine across the table. I let mine rest on my lap. You don't even want to try counseling? She asked, soft and sweet. I wanted you to pick dinner with your husband the night you got your dream. You picked him. That was your counseling session that you canceled. Her mouth tightened. Fine. We signed what we needed to sign over the next weeks. She moved in with a friend in the city. I did not ask who. I changed the locks, painted the spare room, and bought a sturdier toolbox. I returned a to-do list to the fridge with items that were for me alone. At Ray's, Dave raised an eyebrow. You look lighter, he said. I feel like a man who stopped negotiating with a storm. You going to talk to her folks? He asked. I mailed them a letter. Not details. Just that we're done. She going to fight? No, I said. She can't afford air on this. And she didn't. The process moved fast because I kept it boring. No fireworks. Just signatures. She didn't ask for the house. She didn't ask for things that weren't hers. Maybe she thought the other life she'd built would cover her. Maybe she thought I'd cave. She misread me for the last time. 2 months later, I heard from someone at her office I'd met once at a picnic. People talk. The promotion glow didn't last. An audit, a shift, a few clients whispering, and she was cut loose quietly. No scandal, just a new org chart with a title missing. She packed her box, took a quick photo with the team, and left. A week after that, Dave told me he saw her at the hardware store buying a lockbox and bubble wrap. Word drifted back. She'd moved home with her parents out of state. I didn't reach out. There was nothing left to say. The house settled into a comfortable rhythm. I wake before sunrise, make coffee, and sit on the steps while the neighborhood wakes. Saturdays, I help Ray patch things. Sundays, I mulch the front bed. I bought a reliable used truck and a secondhand smoker that I use for ribs on low heat, nothing fancy. Friends come by more. My sister brings her kids and takes over my kitchen like it's a camp. I let her because she respects the space she's in. There's a woman at the gym named Lauren who nods when she sees me. We've exchanged exactly 9 sentences. That's enough for now. I'm not rushing toward anything. I'm not running from anything either. People think the big moment is the confrontation. It isn't. The real moment is the first quiet decision that you repeat until the noise stops. I didn't win anything. I didn't lose anything either. I said a line and kept it. That's all. If you want the postscript, it's simple. The divorce was quick. She didn't ask for more than the basics. She left, and the silence that followed was cleaner than I expected. A couple months later, the job that pulled her from our table let her go, and she went back to her parents in another town. I haven't heard a word since. I'm doing fine. Better than fine. Work steady. The house is mine. The garage is organized. I've got friends who show up and refuse to let me sit alone and chew on things that don't need chewing. I sleep well. I wake up knowing what matters. It isn't grand gestures or speeches that change anything. It's the daily choice to keep your self-respect, even if it costs you the picture you thought you were in. If there's something to learn from this, it's not about catching anyone or outsmarting them. It's about refusing to be treated like scenery in your own life. When someone starts writing you that way, you don't beg for more lines. You close the book and start a new one. Quietly, cleanly, on your terms. If you enjoyed the story, please hit like and tell me in the comments. It really keeps me motivated. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you'll be notified when new videos drop every day.